Welcome back to the Lippert Technical Institute Show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Jason.
And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about one of those topics everybody needs to understand, but you probably shouldn't bring up at dinner.
We're talking about RV waste systems, specifically waste tanks, tank sensors, dumping done correctly, legally, without ruining your weekend. After that, we're going to tackle some of the myths surrounding RV waste systems.
So stick around, you definitely don't want to miss this.
Let's start with the black tank. This is where most RV myths and horror stories come from. First rule of black tank care: it is not a trash can. No paper towels, no wipes, even the ones labeled flushable. No hygiene products, and no magic dissolving unicorn paper.
If it didn't come from your body or wasn't designed specifically for RV toilets, it doesn't go in.
Exactly. RV plumbing is smaller diameter than residential plumbing, and once something jams in there, it stays there forever. Brian believes that anything can go down the toilet.
Brian also believes campsite raccoons are friendly.
The best way to say it, water is your friend. The black tank needs water to move waste and paper. If you're trying to save water by barely flushing, you're creating sludge. Sludge turns into pyramids, literal pyramids of waste under your toilet.
That is one big pile of shit.
Here's the right approach. Always start with water in the tank before you use it. If your tank is empty, add several gallons before the first flush. After doing so, then you can flush confidently. Long flushes, let the water move. Tank treatments are helpful, but they're not magic. Their job is odor control and waste breakdown, not correcting bad habits.
If the tank smells, it's usually an airflow, flushing, or buildup issue, not a stronger chemical problem.
And that brings us to ventilation. Your black tank vent pipe comes up through the roof right here. If this vent gets clogged or is blocked, your smells are going to go back the way they came from. Then your RV and your nose are going to start telling you something is very wrong. Another big one, never leave the black tank valve open at a full hookup site. Liquids can drain out, solids will stay behind, and eventually, congratulations, you've got a problem that requires gloves and regret. The best practice is to leave the valve closed, let the tank get at least half to 3/4 full, and then let it dump with momentum.
So what would you recommend once the dump's complete?
We always want to rinse the tank after the valve has been opened and the waste has been dumped. If you have a built-in tank rinse, make sure to use it. And if you're using a wand, be gentle and intentional, but remember, you're rinsing residue, not pressure washing concrete.
Let's turn the page and talk a little tank sensors, specifically Lippert tank sensors, and why understanding how they work actually matters. Most people think that tank sensors measure volume. They don't. They detect continuity whether waste is physically touching the sensor points. These are a type of tank sensor that utilizes a resistor pack. We have a ground wire at the bottom. This is connected directly to the chassis, and when water is only touching this point or nothing at all, this is when your monitor panel should reflect as empty. The other sensors on here will reflect as 1/3, 2/3, or full, depending on whether water is touching them or we have any conductive material bridging the gap in between. When liquid or conductive waste bridge the sensor, the continuity to ground is detected at the next sensor, and then the circuit closes. Often, this is the cause for the false readings. So in other words, the sensors aren't lying, they're just reporting what they're physically touching.
So if it says full, something's touching it and creating that continuity.
Yeah, exactly. This could be residue on the walls, this could be paper stuck halfway up, or a buildup from poor flushing habits. Any of these can trigger a false reading. Thanks, Brian. That's actually perfect. Tank care can greatly impact the accuracy of the sensors. And most of the time, the issue people experience is a sensor that's either showing full when the tank is actually empty, or maybe vice versa. Good flushing habits, sensors behave. Bad habits, sensors become inaccurate.
And no sensor system survives grease, wipes, or pyramids. If you're getting inaccurate readings, the fix usually starts with proper dumping, proper flushing, and proper water usage.
Yeah, once buildup is gone, continuity breaks, and then the readings return to normal.
Let's talk about dumping, because this is where mistakes become very visible.
Yeah, first, the law. In the United States, dumping RV waste anywhere other than an approved dump facility is illegal. Black and gray water are both considered sanitary waste, and they must go into sewer systems designed to handle them. Even if your current site has no place to dump, check nearby RV dump stations. Many rest areas, travel centers, and private parks, they will also offer this for a fee.
That means no dumping on the ground, no dumping in storage drains, no, it's just gray water excuses.
EPA and local regulations exist to protect groundwater, public health, and everybody downstream. Violations can mean fines and campground bans.
Now, the correct dumping order: always dump the black tank first, so that way when you dump the gray tank, it can rinse out the hose. Open the valve fully, let it drain completely, and listen for when the flow stops.
It's also recommended that we use a see-through elbow connector so that we may know when all the particulates have rinsed out. If you can see it, you're guessing, and guessing leads to mistakes.
Always wear gloves, always sanitize afterwards. Confidence is not protection. And one more thing, hose storage. Your sewer hose should live in a compartment that's meant for it.
Brian, absolutely not. Lippert isn't just about making great RV products and teaching our customers how to use them. We're also about making a big difference in the community. And that's why today we are out here at Cade's Garden doing a little volunteer work to help get everything ready for this summer. We come here every year and we spread things like mulch, we'll plant flowers, we'll pull out the weeds, and we really make it a great place that the community can come and enjoy.
And this year we've brought our friend Brian, whose complexion could really use some outdoor activity like gardening. So he's going to help us spread some mulch, plant some bulbs, make this park look a lot nicer, and represent Lippert along the way.
Come on, let's go.
This was just kind of one of the first main perennial show gardens that popped up on the Riverwalk, kind of around the time they built Buildup Park. So it's just a place for the community to enjoy a serene space that's just located right on the Riverwalk.
The Institute's been doing this with Jacob Crawford and the Parks Department team here for about 7 or 8 years. Volunteer work and servant leadership is really pushed heavily in the company. Obviously, I think we all try to display that in our daily lives at work, being servant leaders for everybody, but then extending it into the communities that we work within is really an important piece of the Lippert culture.
We're able to offer one of the nicest botanical amenities in the region, despite having a small department, and it's really because groups like Lippert come out and help make that happen.
You know, we want to do hammer swinging hours like what we're doing here, where we're actually impacting something within the community. It's a big part of our culture to come do volunteer events.
Before we go, let's have a little fun and talk some RV waste myths. Not tank care, not sensors, not the dumping procedures, just some of the things RV owners hear over and over that turn out to not be true.
That's right, and some of these myths have been around so long they've practically become RV folklore.
Let's start with one I hear all the time. People say their tank smells because it's hot outside. Now, hot weather can absolutely make odors more noticeable, but it doesn't really create odors out of nowhere. If an RV is functioning properly, the tank system should still be controlling odors even during the middle of summer. What usually happens is that warm temperatures make an existing issue easier to notice. Maybe a vent isn't working correctly, or maybe a seal needs attention. Maybe something else in the system isn't performing the way it should. So the myth that the heat causes the problem isn't really so much the case as much as the reality. Heat often just exposes a problem that was already there.
Right, it's kind of like turning the volume up on a speaker. The music was already playing, you can just hear it better now. Myth number 2, bigger RVs automatically have bigger waste problems. A lot of first-time buyers assume that larger coaches must be harder to manage, more bathrooms, bigger holding tanks, more plumbing, etc. The truth is that waste systems are designed around the size of the RV. A larger coach often has a larger tank and additional capacity built in from the start. The actual difficulty usually has more to do with how familiar the owner is with the system than the size of the RV itself. I've seen people with 40-foot motorhomes who have no issues at all, and I've seen people with small travel trailers that turn a simple weekend into a troubleshooting adventure.
Yeah, skill level really beats RV size almost every time. Here's one I hear surprisingly often. Some RV owners actually do believe that every time you take a trip, it must end with you completely emptying the tanks, no matter how little they've been used. Now, yes, it's true. If you're going to be storing your RV for an extended period of time, that's one thing. But if you're taking short trips close together or leaving again in a few days, it isn't always necessary to treat every outing like a complete system reset. Some owners get so focused on emptying the tanks at every opportunity that they're actually creating extra work for themselves. The important thing is understanding your tank levels and your travel schedule and your maintenance routine. RV ownership isn't about following rigid rules so much as it's just about managing the integrity of the system.
Right. In other words, don't spend 40 minutes doing something just because somebody on the internet said you had to.
Exactly. And the goal is efficient maintenance, not turning waste management into a part-time job.
Our final myth is one that catches a lot of new RVers off guard. People assume that once they've learned one RV waste system, they've learned them all. The truth is that while the basic principles are the same, RV manufacturers can arrange the tanks, the plumbing, the valves, monitors, and controls in very different ways. And that's why you'll sometimes hear somebody say, well, my last RV did it this way. The problem is that your current RV may be designed completely different. Some RVs have larger tanks, some have smaller tanks, some have multiple gray tanks, some have multiple valves in different places, some have different monitoring systems. The concept is the same, but the details and locations can be very different.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's like driving a different vehicle. Maybe the steering wheel is in the same place, but the controls aren't always going to be.
Exactly. One of the best things an RV owner can do is spend a few minutes learning how their specific system is laid out instead of just assuming it's identical to every other RV they've ever owned. When people run into trouble, it's often because they're operating from memory instead of understanding the equipment that's actually sitting in front of them.
Thank you so much for joining us here in episode 3, where we talked about black tank care, tank sensors, proper dumping of your RV waste system, and some of the myths that surround these waste systems as well.
Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content. Say bye, Brian.
Bye.